Hey everybody, Quantum here, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at an updated version of Ruby Amethyst using some of the cards from Shimmering Skies. As you can see here on my draw 7, I'm opting to use a Ruby Chromacon in my deck. The deck list that I'm using here is going to be linked in the description. This card really caught my eye because it seems to be pairing really well with a lot of the rush characters that Ruby Amethyst can already play, and in my opinion the new Elsa, that's a 2/5 body, which you will see in action in this game here, just benefits so much off of these Ruby Chromacons in play. Here you're going to see me going up against my friend using Amber Steel's Song. We will be posting more Shimmering Skies gameplay, going over more deck text, deck builds, etc. In the future. So if you do enjoy this content, please make sure you like and subscribe because that lets me know you want to continue to see the content. I did win the die roll, so I'm going to go first. Here you can see me dropping another new card in the new 1-drop Cogsworth. It is a 1/1 for 1 that is inkable and also has the ability to give rush to a character when you play it. The reason why I'm putting this on field turn 1 though is simply because I have a Mim Snake line that I'm going to play into. That's why I opted to play Cogsworth and not the Ruby Chromacon on turn 1. So here, me and my friend here are just going a little bit back and forth. He was wondering how I got these cards in, because I think he was still using a set 4 build. But because you can import decks from Dreamborn into Tabletop, for whatever cards they already have on Dreamborn loaded already, you're able to convert that into Tabletop here. So I don't have like full access to everything, but I do have access to the main cards I wanted to test, which was the Ruby Chromacon with the Elsa, as well as maybe a few other things, obviously like this Cogsworth. But this may not be the definitive build, right? We're just testing, seeing how some of these interactions work. Accidentally draw 5 there because my finger slipped and I hit 5 instead of 1. So I show my friend I'm drawing the first card there, which was the Maui. And unfortunately, I showed him, I think I showed him I think I showed him the crab too. Yeah, I'm putting back and I have to shuffle the deck here. But on turn 1, they play a Robin Hood. And again, guys, I'm getting better with being aware of the zoom functions. I have a second match coming up after this one where I think I'm a little bit more cognizant of, not zooming out so far so you guys can see the board. And then using the middle scroll in order to move up and down the table so that you can get a zoomed in view. So bear with me. It'll take me a little bit of time to get used to Tabletop. I don't really play on this at all, really. I'm only playing on it with my friend here, but I will get more used to it here. Anyways, on turn 2, it looks like they ink an Ursula Vanessa, the Singer 4, and they play out a Mr. Smee. So again, being on the play here is pretty strong. Unfortunately, I have double friends on the other side in my hand with no Singer on board. So I'm just going to opt to hard cast the friends because I'm back on Teeth and Ambitions. And the main reason I'm back on Teeth is because of the Mim Elephant. As you can see there, I just drew it. This card, the interaction with Teeth and Ambitions is just absolutely insane because what you do, right, is if you have the elephant on board, you can sing Teeth with something else, put two damage on the elephant. It has 7 toughness, so the opponent still needs 5 strength in order to challenge into it to out it. And if it survives, which it likely will, especially if you just played it and are able to sing Teeth with something else, you can now at the start of your next turn move that 2 damage on the elephant or move damage on anything else over to one of your opponent's characters. So it's a really nice interaction to get double value off Teeth, setting you up even for the next turn. So there is some merits there, right? Like if you end up clearing your opponent's board, if they opt to develop a character while you have that elephant with the damage on it, you can now put 2 damage on whatever they just develop, right? This is really good counterplay as well for Diablos, right? If they opt to try to play a Diablo, you can just be like, all right, just take out the Diablo right away by moving the 2 damage off of the elephant or anything else onto the Diablo. Here my friend outs my Snake, which I was hoping they weren't going to do, or if they were going to do it, they were going to do it with the Smee. But they do hard cast a Storm Rage on, and then quest with the Smee. So I was hoping on turn 4 that I would have been able to drop the elephant and bounce back the snake and just keep that loop going. The elephant is really good in my opinion. I really like it. But we're going to drop a Cusco 2-drop. Yes, we're back on those 2-drop Cuscos because with 1 or 2 Ruby Chromacons, the Cusco becomes, just like what it was with Crab, it can become like a 2/3, a 3/3. With Crab, obviously, it becomes a 4/3. But you get really good value off of these items now, in my opinion, dropping on board and just beefing up a lot of your weaker characters to provide them positive trades. Now Cusco can potentially go 2 for 1 because he takes out a character and he'll draw me a card, right? My friend here is on 4 cards in hand now after dropping this second Smee, it looks like. They are on 3 ink, but let's see. Okay, they're going to opt to ink a Strength. And they're going to tap 2 more and play another Singer Ursula. So Singer 4. And this tells me that they probably have Zeus in hand, so I got to be very careful of that. We draw a Crab here, which is good, but in this scenario, the Smee only has, one point of health left. You could argue I could swing the Cusco into it, don't even need to use the Chromacon, but I'd rather keep my Cusco and force my opponent to take it out. So I'm actually going to use my Maui here and let my Maui get some 2-for-1 value, because if they're unable to out my board, I do have play with the Elephant, assuming that I can continue to draw Inkables, and I will draw off this Cusco if they out it. But the Elephant can either represent bouncing back the Maui, which is good value to replay, and 2-for-1 again, or 3-for-1, or sorry, 3-for-2 technically, because if I bounce the Maui, I likely won't take another threat out, so I'm not going to go like 4-for-2 with the Maui. But if I drop the Medusa too, if they out the Maui, if I'm able to drop the Medusa and the Medusa can live, I can Elephant back the Medusa as well. So yeah, the Mim cards are just they're really, really nice in my opinion. Like we know how good the Mims are. For those of you doubting the power of Elephant, I have news for you. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. Just like all the scenarios I have cooked up here, even though my opponent is doing a pretty good job at making sure that they out my board here. Yeah, you can see here they're valuing taking out my threats because they know they play Ruby Amethyst. They know if I have Mim cards, they need to clear my board so that I'm not able to develop that Mim cycle basically. They drop a Rapunzel here, which and they do have the Zeus as telegraphed, as not telegraphed, but like as we kind of expected because they were dropping that Ursula. But them having to Rapunzel for 1 there is a very weak play. So that tells me that they're not really in a great position. They're not on a whole new world or anything, but they do have a pretty decently developed board. We're going to go ahead and ink and drop the Medusa to take out the Rapunzel and pass turn. And yeah, I'm just inking my cards ever so slowly here. The opponent draws and let's see. Okay, they're going to Zeus, hard cast Zeus, and then just quest for 3. But I think they have nothing in hand here. I think, yeah, I'm trying to like remember how to scroll. Yeah, or maybe they have 1 card in hand. I draw a Be Prepared, and that's not necessarily great right now, especially if they're like on a whole new world. That's their final card. I'm going to end up having to ink the Elephant to just board wipe them because I am expecting that they are on a whole new world. And I just want to clear the board. So if they have to hard cast a whole new world, I'm the one that has the tempo advantage because unless they have a Prince Naveen, right? I mean, but they're not on Prince Naveen yet. But this is another scenario where Prince Naveen could be really, really good because, you don't need to develop Singer on board in order to gain the tempo off of a whole new world. And that's why that interaction is pretty good. So there's a lot of things that we can discuss there, but hopefully you guys see that in action, right? You understand what I mean there? Like if they had the Prince Naveen, it doesn't matter if I board wipe them. They're still going to end on play Prince Naveen, play Whole New World for free. I still have the character on board, a Singer 6, and I don't necessarily lose tempo. Like, yeah, you can use your turn now, but I at least have a character on board while you have nothing because you Be Prepared. Anyways, they end up not having the Whole New World or not playing it right away. They drop an Aerial, and I think they picked up a Strength with that Aerial Scribe. We're going to go ahead and drop a Rabbit and then another Ruby Chromacon. And I'm on 4 of these. Again, the deck list is in the description and or linked in the comments. They're going to exert to sing the Grab Your Swords and then hard cast the Strength in order to out my Rabbit, which means that they don't have enough to play Whole New World. Now they're on no cards. You can see me looking up there on the table. They have a Robin Hood and an Aerial on board. And at this point, it's probably a little too late for them to do anything. We tried the Elsa here, which is, it doesn't, normally it would be insanely powerful, but here we're already in control of the game. I tapped down the Robin Hood, but I'm just telling him like, no, I'm not going to take out the Robin Hood. I don't really fear the Shift Robin Hood either since they're in top deck mode because they can't take out the Elsa since it has evasive. But I'm going to use the Chromacon on the Elsa, and this is one of the most powerful interactions now in this deck, in my opinion, if you opt to play this version, in that your Elsa can tap down a threat, and then you can boost up the Elsa as much as you want, and then throw it into something. And then, again, with the Mim package expanding with the Elephant, you can bounce back the Elsa and just redo that interaction over and over again, and just constantly tap down and take out your opponent's threats. This Elsa, like I was telling you guys in that starter deck review video, looks to be very, very strong. My opponent draws, they have a Robin Hood in hand, and I think they just pass back. At this point, I think they know. I think they were like talking in the chat, or I think I joined the Discord call because we normally have a Discord call here at this point. And I think he's like, yeah, like I'm just bricked now. I just can't do anything because Amber Steel's song still really does depend on that Whole New World interaction in order to generate a lot of advantage. We have a Snake and another Elephant in hand. and I can just quest with the Elsa. And yeah, I think I was doing something else or something for a little bit. Somebody like rang my doorbell or something. But yeah, I quest with the Elsa, gain a lore, play Snake, and then you try to just keep your Robin Hood readied up so that you have a potential shift target if you can draw into the big Robin Hood. But he knows that, like, yeah, I'm going to be redropping the Elsa. Don't even need to use the Chromacon. Just take it out. You get 2 damage on myself. And then I think quest with the Cusco if I haven't already, because I played the Snake this turn and then pass turn. And I have the Elephant yet again to either cycle the Mim Snake or cycle the Elsa. So whatever readied threat you develop on your board, my Elsa with those double Ruby Chromacons will likely be able to take it out because I'll be on 4 strength. And I'll have it tapped down, so I can even throw the Cusco into it if I really wanted to. So here my opponent just reveals, he's like, yeah, it's too slow. I can't put the Ursula and the Rapunzel on board. It's pretty much GG's. I showed them, like, I had the Elephant anyway, so yeah, you probably weren't winning this game regardless. And that's the first game. And so because my friend is going to the Disney Lorcana Challenge in Toronto, he does want to continue to test the set 4 meta, obviously without a Bucky being in the meta, since it will have the errata as of the DLC in Toronto. But it's also good to contrast what this deck is currently and how it is evolving into the Shimmering Skies meta with some of its new additions. And as you saw in that first match, the Elsa, the Elephant, the Ruby Chromacon, and there might be other things that are going to be used, right? The Cogsworth may or may not be used, right? There may be other things coming back into the meta. Like, I've always been a fan of that big Aladdin, the 7-drop from Chapter 1. Being able to play him and then play a Cogsworth to give him Rush now, like, is that going to be something that could potentially be considered? Probably not, but, it's worth looking at all these different interactions. But here you can see my friend now is on the play. We're on the draw. And this is where Amber Steel Song can really just dominate the game. My friend definitely would have had this game tied up very early, and I may still lose this match, you'll see. But if he had like this line of play with a whole new world instead of that strength, I probably just would have lost on the spot. And that's the power of Amber Steel Song, right? Now, I do draw into a second Be Prepared here, which is terrible because, again, it's just dead cards in my hand waiting to get whole new worlded away. And Be Prepared is something I absolutely need to see in order to stabilize the board against Amber Steel. Otherwise, I just lose. But my friend is on Amber Steel Song because we both believe that it probably is going to be a very solid pick for the DLC in Toronto. Because when you think about kind of the rotation of the meta, a lot of Sapphire decks were in the meta because of Emerald Steel. And with Emerald Steel now kind of going away with no more Bucky, the Amber Steel decks have a bit of an easier time combating the rest of the meta. I mean, Amber Steel did make it to the finals of the last DLC despite Sapphire still being a very popular color with the Bucky discarding the meta. But to be fair, Amber Steel does have a good matchup into Emerald Steel anyways. Here you can see we're really suffering for any kind of control. My opponent, I opted to take out the Ursula with the Mim Fox, not the Robin Hood. My opponent did indeed have the shift, and they're just going to continue to lay on the pressure. We had to play Chernobog, bounce it back with the Fox in order to take out a threat, which isn't great. We're just dying to get to this Medusa and this Be Prepared as quickly as possible. I think they're in top deck mode, and they top deck a Lawrence here, which is just another 2-questing body. That's a 4/4. Absolutely insane. We draw a Maui here, and I have to really think, do I want to play the Maui or play the Medusa? And because I want to out the Robin Hood here, thankfully I do draw an Inkable. If I didn't draw an Inkable, that would be really bad. But yeah, this older version of the deck, I think, plays like 16 on Inkable. So, you should hopefully have enough ink a lot of the time to play what you need. But I think I opted to play the Medusa here because I valued outing the Robin Hood, and I can always out the Queen next turn with the Maui, because regardless, I'm only outing one thing. Might as well take out the Robin Hood to prevent the draw and the potential lore gain if stuff gets, tapped down. Even though it probably doesn't, but, the Robin Hood is still just a big threat. So the opponent quest, I think they're at either 14 or 16 there, maybe even 18. Oh yeah, they're on 18 here. So the Medusa has to trade out either the Lawrence or the Queen. They both will take out the Medusa, unfortunately. And the Maui ends up surviving. So they drew and they passed, right? So I know that they don't have a character in hand, but they do top deck a character, and yeah, they top deck the song, and they play a strength. And now I have these two Be Prepareds, and I'm just like really fearing a top deck Cold New World, but my opponent is only on 4 ink, so that's kind of the saving grace here. Now, because they're at 18, I do just want to stop them from questing, so I do cast a Be Prepared on a Queen, and I'm in a really bad spot. They top deck Robin Hood and play it, and we top deck a Rabbit. And at this point, I have to take the risk that, I don't want to Be Prepared a Robin Hood because then I have no outs to whatever else they play. I can afford to let them go to 19 now. Off Rabbit, we draw Snake, and then Snake bounced back the rabbit, and unfortunately we draw another Be Prepared. And I'm saying unfortunately because I really do anticipate my opponent is going to draw the Whole New World soon. And I think actually he drew it here, but again, he's on 4 ink. Oh no, he drew Rapunzel. He definitely draws one soon. But you could argue that, well, no, you can't, because he definitely should not have inked the Rapunzel. He's so close to winning the game. But committing this Rapunzel to the board, I guess he put me on, I have to be prepared, right? That's the benefit of doing that. So we be prepared, we ink, and we pass. I'm not even going to bother tapping the 7 ink because it's like all my ink. He drew the Whole New World. He shows me there, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of expected. If you draw and you don't do anything, it's pretty obvious you drew a song. But now we're going to be able to finally develop this castle on board and then put the Flynn up and then move Flynn to the castle. So a stark contrast from set 4 to set 5. I have opted to cut the Flynns from my build. Not that I think that they're bad or anything. I just think that they're very fragile with a lot of the removal that people are going to be expected to play. The 2 toughness just doesn't cut it. And if you don't get any benefit off off of the Flynn, it just feels really bad. So here you're going to see me gain a total of 5 lore, because 3 off Flynn and then 2 off castle, draw 2 cards because I have Flynn at castle, like draw 1 for turn, draw 1 from Flynn. And then I'm going to drop yet another castle and then drop the rabbit as well. I don't think I inked this turn, but let me know if I did. I actually just missed it again. I'm not going to rewind over this commentary, but I'm like, my friend was telling me I think he thinks I inked. I'm like, oh, I don't think I did, but I'm like, okay, even if I did it, like, it doesn't really matter. I'll be fine to take it back. I should have been playing with my ink face up the whole game, so I knew that if I did or did not ink for the turn. But I do pay the final ink that I have there, the ninth ink, to move the rabbit to the castle. The opponent draws, and then they Zeus away the Flynn, which is, exactly what they needed to see. Zeus or Let the Storm Rage On would have been better, I guess. But they absolutely had to get that Flynn out of there. Now our hand is really bad, especially since my opponent showed that he has the Whole New World, because if he does end up inking and Whole New Worlding, I will lose 2 Be Prepared, which no, they're not my final 2, right? I have 1 more in the deck, but I'll lose the King Undisputed as well. So I have a lot of really powerful uninkable cards that I need to see in order to stop the opponent from questing to 20. And if I don't see it, I could be in really, really big trouble here. But again, we're just going to drop Fox, drop Rabbit again, draw some cards so that we can continue to ink. Even if I lose my hand, like, I just have to hope that I sift through enough of the deck that I draw what's relevant. We've got draw 3, though, if the opponent can't out anything. They are indeed going to ink an aerial that they top decked and then play the Whole New World, but this does tap them out for the turn. I think they top decked Whole New World like twice there when they were on 4 ink. But the draw 7 here, I show my opponent the goat because I'd go to 17 off of the double castle, and then Merlin and Fox would quest for 19, and then I just play goat for game. So I ended up coming back in that one when my opponent was on 19. They were on flutes, as you can see here, but they didn't see any when they needed it. And thankfully, because of that, I ended up taking the game. But this was definitely a game I should have lost. My opponent just ran into some bad luck, but that's what happens with Steel Song sometimes. That's going to wrap it up for this video, though, guys. If you made it this far, thank you again for watching. Quantum is out.